When looking ahead at games coming to Switch later this year, one game which has strangely dropped off the radar is the upcoming Yoshi Switch title. We had quite a detailed look at this game back at E3 2017, even seeing live gameplay at the Nintendo Treehouse event, but since then this game has been mysteriously missing in action. I'm sure we'll see more of it at this year's E3, but for now I wanted to discuss the developer of this upcoming title. It may have gone somewhat unnoticed, but over the past few years Nintendo has quietly been forming relationships with new development studios to increase their creative output and meet the ever higher demands fans and media place upon them. In this new series of videos, I'm going to be exploring these up and coming development studios we should all be keeping a close eye on. Founded on the 3rd of October 2005, Goodfeel was established by the former Konami employee Etsunobu Ubushi, most famed as director and later producer on the Goemon series of games. Having been in the business for many years, Ubushi realised the importance of forming good relations with larger developers and publishers. To this end, he quickly made Nintendo aware of his new company and asked directly for the opportunity to develop a game for their upcoming Wii console. At this time, Nintendo employee Takahiro Harada was keen to see a new entry in the WarioLand series. Having been impressed with the Japan-exclusive Goemon DS platformer Ubushi had produced during his time at Konami, when he learned of Ubushi's new company and request to develop a game, Harada decided to offer the fledgling studio the opportunity to work with him to revive the WarioLand series following a 7-year hiatus. Ubushi wasn't initially enthralled by the suggestion, wanting instead to work on an original shooting game, but Harada managed to convince him that a revival of the WarioLand series was the better option for the up-and-coming studio. The primary aim of this new title was to expand on the series' emphasis of Wario's strength, and how Wario used this to overcome opposition. With Ubushi on board, both men acted as producers on the title, aiming to create the ultimate 2D platformer for the Wii. The game's focus on platforming led to a control scheme designed for a sideways Wii remote, giving players the standard configuration of a D-pad for movement and a handful of action buttons for other inputs. During early development, however, the game's director, Madoka Yamauchi, suggested that shaking the Wii remote could also be used as an input method. This meant much more variety could be added to the control scheme, overcoming the limited number of buttons on the Wii remote, while also making the game more accessible for newcomers to traditional platforming. This incorporation of motion inputs fed into the game's final name, becoming WarioLand Shake It in the American market and WarioLand The Shake Dimension in PAL regions. Perhaps the most notable element of the game was its hand-drawn art style. Initially proposed by Yamauchi, this proved to be a monumental undertaking. Wario's animations alone require 2,000 frames to animate his 200 unique actions. A further 6,000 frames were also drawn for enemy animations, not to mention the game's background and scenery elements, which were also hand-drawn. The animation challenge was so extensive that the difficulties even spilled over into the programming side of the project, with the game's programmers having to employ clever techniques simply to handle the extensive repertoire of animation frames on the Wii's 88MB of RAM. All this effort paid off though. The game received great review scores alongside numerous nominations and awards for both its prowess as a platformer and its stunning art design. The game was also well received by fans, with over 1 million copies of the game sold to date. Nintendo faith in Ubushi had paid off, with WarioLand Shake It paving the way for a bright future relationship between Goodfeel and Nintendo. After such a large-scale adventure, Nintendo and Goodfeel opted for a smaller, more abstract puzzle adventure for their next project. This resulted in 2010's downloadable DSi title, Luxley's Lineup, known in Europe by the rather long-winded title, Tales in a Box, Hidden Shapes in Perspective. While time may have forgotten this ambitious but undoubtedly flawed title, it served an important role in cementing the development partnership between Nintendo and Goodfeel. Alongside the development of this title, Goodfeel were also busy cooking up their second adventurous title for the Wii. Stemming from a suggestion once again made by Madoka Yamauchi, Goodfeel began working on a title centered around the premise of a world of yarn. To develop this idea and explore the unique gameplay mechanics such a game might have, staff were encouraged to play with store-bought cloth and crafting supplies. A handful of Goodfeel staff and developers were then tasked with developing the visuals for the project proposal to Nintendo, making use of the yarn, cloth and craft materials to create a compelling and inventive proposal for the game. Taking a unique material and art style as a starting point for a project is something which has come to define Goodfeel, starting with the visual aspects of a title and working backwards to see how the art style can inform the gameplay creates a direct link between the aesthetics and mechanics of the game, producing truly compelling worlds. This approach by Goodfeel runs counter to Nintendo's more common approach, where the mechanics of the game rule over all other aspects, with aesthetics often stemming outwards from the unique mechanics of the game. A recent example of this is Super Mario Odyssey, where the unique capture mechanic directly inspired the prominence of hats throughout the game's enemy and world design. The unique craft aesthetics of the proposal paid dividends for Goodfeel. The initial proposal was accepted based on the bold visual impact and the promise Nintendo saw in the unique gameplay such a title could provide. Work on a prototype began rapidly, with Ebisu once again taking the helm as producer. The title began development under the working title Kaito no Fluff, literally translating to Fluff of Yarn, with a new character, Prince Fluff, taking the lead role. While initially the team were enthused with their new project, this enthusiasm soon turned to frustration. While the aesthetics and premise of the game remained strong, the team struggled with how to incorporate and balance difficulty in this yarn world. Team members felt something was missing from the experience. The game was charming, but little more than a collection of disparate mechanics. Luckily, in the summer of 2009, Nintendo stepped in with an idea which would re-enthuse the team. They proposed the team rework this new game as a Kirby title. While initially reluctant, producer Ebisu conceded the merit of this new direction after seeing how well a yarn Kirby slotted into the game, even noting the amusing similarities between Kirby and their previous title character, Prince Fluff. The development team embraced this new direction with renewed vigour, giving the project a new lease of life. At the start of 2010, the game was moving forward at a rapid pace. Visits and direction from Nobuo Matsumiya and Emi Watanabe of Nintendo's Software Planning and Development Department helped the team polish the game's levels, while staff from HAL Laboratory also oversaw the development of the title, offering help and support throughout the transition from Fluff's epic yarn to Kirby's epic yarn. The team also managed to solve their earlier problems with difficulty, finding a pleasing middle ground where the game is very easy to play and complete, but much harder to play flawlessly and complete to 100%. This meant players could decide how difficult they wanted the experience to be, a defining feature of Goodfeel developed titles to this day. At last, following a turbulent but rewarding development cycle, Kirby's Epic Yarn was revealed at E3 2010. It instantly garnered praise for its unique art style and addictive platforming. The game won numerous awards at the show, including GameSpot's award for the best visuals and their prestigious Game of the Show award, alongside nominations for Best Wii Game and Best Platformer. Upon release, the game saw near-universal critical acclaim, with reviewers heralding the crafty art style and the game's unique twists on classic platforming. This critical praise was further reflected in the game's sales, with over 2 million copies of the title sold to date. Nintendo's faith in their newfound development partner was cemented. Following the launch of Kirby's Epic Yarn, Nintendo brought Goodfeel into the fold on many of their smaller projects, working alongside their other trusted developers. The first such title we saw was 2011's Wii Play Motion, a sadly average follow-up to 2006's Wii Play. This title included a range of minigames played using the Wii Motion Plus accessory, of which 2 were developed by Goodfeel. Goodfeel were also brought in to help develop titles for the then upcoming 3DS, aiding Alpha Dream on the development of Mario and Luigi Dream Team, namely on the ambitious 3D giant battle segments. Perhaps most prominently though on 3DS were their 4 Street Pass titles launching between 2013 and 2016. Street Pass Squad, Street Pass Zombies, Street Pass Slot Racer and Street Pass Trader. All these smaller titles and roles received okay reception, but Nintendo and Goodfeel knew that an ambitious new game was what fans wanted. It was during January 2013's Nintendo Direct that this wish was granted, with our first glimpse of Goodfeel's next major title, then called Yarn Yoshi. This was a title which looked to continue the crafty precedent set by Kirby's Epic Yarn, but moved the action to the Yoshi universe under the watchful eye of Yoshi series veteran Takashi Tezuka. Sadly absent from E3 2013, it wasn't until E3 2014 that we once again saw this title, which had undergone a major overhaul in the intervening year. The visuals had evolved significantly to encompass wool as the defining feature, and the game was given its final title, Yoshi's Woolly World. A developer interview from E3 2014 with Tezuka and Ebisu revealed that it was actually Nintendo who reached out to Goodfeel when starting development on the title. Having not seen a fully fledged Yoshi title on a Nintendo home console since 1998's Yoshi Story, Tezuka was keen to see a new title in the series. He proposed that Goodfeel use the same crafty style from Kirby's Epic Yarn to bring new and exciting mechanics to the core Yoshi gameplay, while also pushing for fantastic visuals with the new Wii U hardware. From early on in development, the game was centered around exploration in a fully realized woolen world, using Yoshi's unique abilities to enhance exploration and offer fun surprises for the player. The woolen Yoshi also allowed the developers to create many unique transformations for Yoshi, making full use of his new woolen physique. As with Kirby's epic yarn before it, the developers were encouraged to play with real-world craft materials, particularly balls of wool, to devise new and interesting mechanics for the game. The developers spent lots of time during the game's early developmental phase, crafting real-world prototypes of Yoshi to hone his design, giving him a perfect handmade feel. During a Nintendo Treehouse playthrough at E3 2014, Takashi Tezuka discussed how the title progressed from the yarn outline style from Kirby's epic yarn to the final knitted Yoshi style in the game, showing off some early experimental concepts for different craft forms of Yoshi, including beaded Yoshi, sequin Yoshi, fluffy Yoshi, and zipper Yoshi. Emi Watanabe from Nintendo's software planning and development was once again a coordinator on the project and took a central role in the early experimental phase, exploring the full scope of the novel wool and textile world Yoshi was to inhabit. This real-world experimentation also led directly to the development of the adorable, plushy Yarn Yoshi amiibo series, giving everyone the chance to own their own small piece of this crafty new world. The game received favourable critical reception upon release, with reviewers praising the game's unique woolen art style and the platforming refinements, which came together to offer what many consider the finest Yoshi game in a generation. Some criticised the title for being too easy, a complaint levied at many of Goodfield's games given their focus on accessibility. These favourable reviews were reflected in total sales to date of 1.5 million units, a huge achievement given the Wii U's poor overall sales performance. This wasn't the last we saw of Yoshi's Woolly World though. During September 2016's Nintendo Direct, we saw the reveal trailer for Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, a 3DS port of the Wii U original. This title included everything we saw in the Wii U version, plus new timed stages focusing on Yoshi's canine companion Poochie to give players a completely different mode to enjoy. This title also included 30 heartwarming stop-motion shorts, showing the daily lives and happenings of Yarn Yoshi and Poochie, filmed and produced by animation studio Dwarf. An adorable Poochie amiibo was also released alongside the game, joining the Yarn Yoshi amiibo series to tug at the heartstrings of amiibo fans everywhere. Upon release in January 2017, this port once again garnered favourable reviews, with particular praise being given for the quality of the port. On new 3DS consoles, as on the Wii U, the game runs at a smooth 60 FPS, even if the woolen world doesn't look quite as spectacular on the 3DS as it was in HD back on the Wii U. To date, while the 3DS port has only sold 500,000 units, this pushes Yoshi's Woolly World as a whole to over 2 million units sold, continuing to build on the sales numbers of Goodfield's major titles. After such a successful outing for Yoshi with Woolly World, it seems Nintendo are now happy allowing Goodfield to take the reins on the Yoshi franchise moving forwards. The as-yet untitled Yoshi for Switch was revealed during the Switch's first E3 in June 2017. Goodfield are once again making full use of a unique craft-based aesthetic design, focusing this time on cardboard, craft paper and felt. This new title also looks to be placing a new emphasis on a 2.5D world, with Yoshi able to interact with background and foreground elements, and flipping sides of the 2D world to gain a new perspective on levels. With a 2018 launch, it looks like we won't have to wait too much longer until we get our hands on Goodfield's fourth major game, and can enjoy another heartwarming, crafty Yoshi adventure. And with that, we come to the end of our tour through Goodfield's past, present and future with Nintendo. Goodfield are a perfect example of the work Nintendo has been putting into recruiting, training and forming vital relations with new and upcoming development studios. With a design philosophy starkly different to Nintendo's own, placing unique aesthetic premise at the heart of all their titles, Goodfield have already begun building a fantastic lineage of titles on Nintendo's platforms, and undoubtedly have a bright future ahead of them. Goodfield's overall approach is best summed up by Takashi Tezuka. We wanted to make it a game that brings a smile to your face just by owning it, a goal too often forgotten in today's gaming landscape, but one which Goodfield have taken to heart. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to be the first to see every new video. For more from Blobtendo, follow me on Twitter @Blobtendo, and share in the comments your favourite Goodfield title.